Honestly, I am very surprised with myself. Like, who am I? How did this even happen? And my arms are trembling, so I'm gonna put this down now. Yeah, I read 14 books in the month of March. How did that happen? I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna go in order of when I read it. So the first book that I read in the month of March was Skyward, written by Brandon Sanderson. You guys know that I am very bad at describing books and talking about why I like them, but I'm going to try my hardest and explain to you what the books are about and why I liked it so much. But yeah, I'm even using it as an armrest. Like, the stack of books that I read on the month of March, I'm using as an armrest. Wow, okay. So the first book that I read was Skyward, written by Brandon Sanderson. I actually buddy read this with Trey over at Fave, and it was the absolute best. It actually has become one of my favorite science fiction books. I haven't read a lot of science fiction books, and I don't think it's my favorite genre. I don't know, there's just something about space that doesn't really call to me. But then I read Skyward, and wow, like all my life I've been missing out on adventures on space and like all of the amazing and badass and kick-ass things that can happen in space, and it's just so addicting. Like, this book is so addicting, and all of the characters are so complex and interesting to read about, and you just want to spend time with them always. Like, they're just very likable, but at the same time they're so complex. I just love this. As you can see by all of the tabs that I put on this book, I had the best time reading this. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I am so excited for the sequel to come out later in the year, and yeah, I'm definitely going to be reading the sequel as soon as it comes out. The next book that I read is the first book that my sister chose for me to read in the month of March, and that was Dry, written by Neil Shusterman and Jared Shusterman. And this is the story of what would happen if there was no water, which is a very close reality that could happen in the very near future, which is like very scary. Like, that is the general feeling that I took away from this book. I was just very terrified because the way that they describe it is so realistic, and like it fits so well with things that are happening right now. And it's so scary because right now my country is in drought season. And of course, reading a book about drought and the consequences of such is just a very, yeah, it messed me up. This book messed me up because even though it is fiction, it could totally happen in a very near future, and that just messes with my mind. Like, for 3 weeks after I read this, I was just talking to every single person, asking them, are you ready for the off chance that we stay without water? Like, do you have reserves? Are you using water wisely? Do you leave the tap running? Do you turn the like, I was just freaking out, and I was trying to make everybody else as woke as me after I read this book. So yes, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Like, what kept me on my toes was the story itself, but then the characters could be a little bit bland at times, but the story really truly messed me up. I don't think I would ever reread this just because it just messed me up so much. Like, I don't want to think about that. Like, I really did enjoy it, but it's not like, it's not a fun book, you know what I mean? But it's an important book. After Dry, I picked up the very first book of Harry Potter, which is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. If you guys haven't seen my annotated Harry Potter flip through, I'm going to leave the link up here, and you guys can go check out the annotations that I have of this book, because I'm actually very happy with that video, and a lot of you seem to like it, which makes me so happy. In the month of March, I decided to start rereading all of the Harry Potter books because I read them in 2012, and I didn't really remember anything about the books. Mostly what I remembered was from the movies, so I really wanted to reread them and annotate them, and that's what I'm currently doing. So of course I started with the first book and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think anybody's surprised, but I really enjoyed just being back with the Golden Trio and seeing how everything begins and being in the Harry Potter world before everything gets all dark and, you know, intense. It's like, it's cool because right now you're just like exploring magic and learning all about the wizarding world, and everything is all, you know, sunshine and daisies. And, you know, further along the books, it starts to get a bit more dark and a bit more deep, which I absolutely adore, but I also love just being in the magical world and learning about all of the spells and charms and all of those things, so I really enjoyed reading this. After The Philosopher's Stone, I picked up the second book that my sister chose for me, which was The Last Magician, written by Lisa Maxwell, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say about this book because I'm not obsessed with it. It's a very fun and exciting new concept of a fantasy series, or I think this is a trilogy, so a fantasy trilogy. It deals with time travel and magical objects, and like, it's a very interesting concept, and it actually took me a while to get into the story, but then when I actually got into it, I really enjoyed it. But looking back on it, I don't think I'm interested on continuing on with the trilogy. Like, I did enjoy this book, but I don't know if I enjoyed it enough to dedicate more of my time to reading the rest of the series. Maybe my thoughts will change in the future, who knows? But so far, I don't see myself reading The Devil's Thief, I think the sequel is called. Something with the devil. So yeah, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, I did have fun, I was entertained. Would I read it again? No. But it does have its moments, so yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I gave it 3.5 stars, but I can't be too sure now. After The Last Magician, I read the book that changed my life. And I'm not even kidding with this, like, wow, like, wow. I picked up, oh my god, I've already talked so much about this book, but yes, my new favorite book, I read it in the month of March, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, written by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my very first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and this book started an obsession for me. Like, after I listened to this on audiobook, I just started to listen to every single audiobook that there was available of Taylor Jenkins Reid because I fell completely head over heels with her writing style, her uniqueness, her stories, her characters, like every single aspect and element of her stories I just completely obsessed over. And The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I have a whole reading vlog dedicated to it, so if you want to listen to more of my in-depth thoughts, you can go check it out. But just know that The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo completely destroyed my life, in a good way. I didn't know that was possible, but there you go. Yeah, it changed my life. I completely fell head over heels in love with Evelyn Hugo, and I just loved it so much. Like, I want to reread this so badly because since I listened to the audiobook, I couldn't annotate anything, but as I was listening to it, I was like, oh my god, I would so annotate that. So I went ahead and bought a physical copy so that hopefully in the near future I can read this and annotate it, and then, oh my god, so excited. So after I listened to the audiobook of the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I picked up my second Taylor Jenkins Reid book, which was Maybe in Another Life. And this is another very interesting book. It has the concept of parallel universes. Basically, there's a theory that with every decision that you make, an alternate universe is created where you decided differently. So for example, if a decision has 2 options and in universe A you chose option 1, then an alternate universe is created where you chose option B. I don't know how this wrap-up turned into a science class, but here we are. But yeah, this book explores that theory, and it does so in such a fun and exciting way, and I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, I just clicked on this audiobook and started listening to it with no idea what it was about, and I am so happy that I did because I enjoyed this book so flipping much. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I think it's incredible because I'm not the biggest contemporary fan. I used to be obsessed with contemporary, and now I kind of grew out of that phase, but Taylor Jenkins Reid is making me realize that maybe not. So yeah, I had a lot of fun listening to Maybe in Another Life, and yeah, I had a lot of fun listening to it, and I may have cried just a little bit. I also listened to the audiobook of After I Do, also written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this was a very emotional read for me. I did cry a lot, but maybe it's because, you know, I was just in an emotional time in my life, but I did cry a lot while listening to After I Do because it's just a story about what happens after you say I do, like after the happily ever after. It shows you the real life of a married couple and the troubles that they have and how not everything is always perfect and beautiful, and love isn't always the answer. And it was a very heartbreaking read, but it was also very realistic. And I love the types of books that can capture real life and kind of like make you feel all of the things even if they're not positive. So yeah, I just love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love how she writes. I love how she looks at life, and yeah, I just really love her. After that audiobook, I picked up one of my all-time favorite duologies ever in my life, and that was Vicious, written by V.E. Schwab. Oh my god, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Oh my god, I think this is one of my favorite V.E. Schwab books as well. Like, it's just so well done, and the concept as well is amazing. It's about extraordinary people, which is these people that suffer very traumatic near-death experiences, and when they come back to life, they come back with powers, and each power depends on the factors that led to your death. Like, it's very confusing coming from me because I suck at explaining things. But I swear to God, oh my god, this book was so good. Victor Vale is my new daddy. I said it, there we go. Oh my god, I thought I would never say that on camera. But yes, I can't lie. Victor Vale can get it. Oh my god, okay, moving on. After Vicious, I picked up my second Harry Potter book, which of course was Chamber of Secrets. Now, I actually didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I would. I did enjoy it still, but it's definitely not my favorite of the 7. There were some favorite moments, of course, and there were moments that had me like, aw, or moments that had me like, what? You know, I had, you know, a good range of emotions while reading Chamber of Secrets, but I definitely enjoyed rereading The Philosopher's Stone more than Chamber of Secrets. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and yes. There's not much to say about Harry Potter because everybody knows Harry Potter, so I can't really, you know, say anything new. After Chamber of Secrets, I picked up Nevernight, written by J. Kristoff. Let me just tell you, sis, this book blew my mind. I can't believe that I waited so long to read this because this absolutely blew my mind away. This is an adult fantasy and it follows this teenager called Mia Corvere, and she wants to go to the School of Assassins to train in order to avenge her family. Like, it's just so badass and like so intense. And the writing style is, I've never seen anything like it. J. Kristoff, honestly, he like, wow, his mind out of this world. And for him to be able to come up with this world and to write it the way that he does, it's just incredible. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I'm completely obsessed. Like, yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm still to this day obsessed. I think about it at least once a day. And yeah, I'm just obsessed. After Nevernight, I picked up my 3rd Harry Potter book, and which turned out to be my favorite Harry Potter book so far, which is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is, so far, this is my favorite Harry Potter book. The order goes Prisoner of Azkaban, The Philosopher's Stone, Goblet of Fire, and Chamber of Secrets so far, because I'm still missing the last 3 books. But yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban, this is where we meet my husband, my child. That's a very weird combination. No, okay. He's my husband, not my child. Okay. This is where we meet my husband, Sirius Black, and this is where we first hear about the Marauders. And I've always just been so interested on finding out more about the Marauders, and I still feel like J.K. Rowling should write a prequel about the Marauders because I feel like everybody needs that in their lives. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I love so many things about it. I love it. I love the character development. I love the development of the friendships. I love the night bus. I love Sirius Black. I love the Whomping Willow. I just love everything about it. Yeah, like honestly, I don't think there's anything not to love. So yeah. After Prisoner of Azkaban, I picked up my 2nd manga, which was volume 2 of Full Metal Alchemist. There were so many funny moments in this manga, even more so than in volume 1. And I just really enjoyed it. I can't really say much about this volume because since it's volume 2, it would be spoiling things. But just know that if you still haven't picked up Full Metal Alchemist, you are missing out on one of the best stories ever written in the history of manga. So just please pick it up. Do yourself a favor and pick up Full Metal Alchemist. After that, I read the last book that my sister chose for me in my March TBR, which was Renegades, written by Marissa Meyer. It was published in 2017, and I read it as soon as it came out, and I gave it 5 stars. Then the sequel, Arch Enemies, came out, and I put it off. Like, I didn't read it for a very long time, and then I just forgot about what happened. So I wanted to reread Renegades before I got into Arch Enemies, and so I read it on March. Like Renegades, I read it on March. And my experience second time around was not as positive as the first time. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like it was just very hard for me personally to get into. The characters were very not good. They were just very, you know, cookie cutter characters. They were very bland. They weren't... I don't really want to talk about this book much because I don't have a lot of positive things to say, and I just don't want to spend my energy talking about this book. That sounds so bad. I did give it 3 stars because there were some enjoyable moments. It's just that maybe it's just not my cup of tea. Who knows? I don't even like tea. I know a lot of people that adored this book and adore the concept and the characters and the writing and everything, and I just don't feel the same way, and that's okay. And finally, I feel like this has been the longest wrap up, and I'm so sorry for being so rambly and, you know, all of those things. Comment the dragon emoji if you're still watching, because this has been so long and I'm so sorry, but yeah, okay. The last book that I read in the month of March, last but definitely not least, was Vengeful, written by V.E. Schwab. I completely adored this. It wasn't as good as Vicious, but it was a good follow-up to Vicious. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I prefer Vicious because we get to spend more time with Sydney and Victor and, you know, all those things. But in this book, we get to learn a little bit more of the backstory of all of those characters, especially Eli. We get to learn so much about Eli in this book, which I really enjoyed, and it really shows you like that other side that was missing of him from Vicious. So I had a lot of fun reading Vengeful, and the villain's duology has definitely become one of my all-time favorite duologies that I've ever read. So yeah, I am very happy that I picked it up and that I loved it so much, because V.E. Schwab has become one of my favorite authors. Like, literally all of the books that I've read of hers are my favorite. So yeah, I'm V.E. Schwab trash. Okay, so these were all the books that I read in the month of March. Honestly, I read a lot of amazing books. A lot of them were 5 stars, and a lot of them became my all-time favorites. Overall, it was a very good reading month. I can barely hold this up. Oh my god, okay. So yeah, overall, it was a very successful reading month, and I am so happy with a lot of the books that I read. And yeah, I feel like this was a very rambly wrap up, and I'm so sorry if I bored you guys, or I don't know. Yeah, sorry about that. I hope you guys enjoyed nevertheless. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what your favorite read of the month was, what your least favorite read of the month was, and yeah, I will see you again next time. Bye!